Happened to White Hawk Carriers, the U-turn crash carrier from California, in Florida back in August. So, a couple things we'll do first is let's come over here. We'll go to investigators. We'll come down here and do VIN and plate. I'm going to put this data in here first. So the plate from this crash is, we'll need bulk. That's our plate. That is our VIN. And then let's just take, I'll tell you what we do. We take all their VINs, we take all their plates. Let's find out what happened to all their assets. So let's start there. And then while that runs, we'll go run their actual profile. Paste, search. And what this is actually going to do in our system is it's going to cross-reference these VINs and plates against all the data we have, whether it's violations, crashes, inspections, you name it. It's going to cross-reference to find out who has actually been violated, crashed, inspected, etc. across these VIN numbers. It's basically a gen logs of data. So we're going to basically let this pull because it's going to take about 3 minutes. You can already see it's ran 15 VINs and 15 plates. It's already found 6 matches where it's crossing over and been used by someone else. All right, we're going to jump out of here. We're going to come here. We're going to do their their DOT, which is this. And I think most people are actually shocked to find that White Hawk carriers actually still operate, or they can still operate. Now, they don't have authority, but they can still operate. So they do still have a DOT number. They don't have an authority. They are satisfactory. This satisfactory rating actually comes from a full compliance review. That's the only way you can get one. So in February, someone did a full compliance review, whether that was CHP in California or whether it was the feds from Sacramento or wherever. Someone went there, did a full compliance review. They got a satisfactory rating out of the deal. And this is their record. So you've got their out of service rates, their crashes, their fatal crashes, which is our Florida guy, violations, broker vetting scorecard. One of the things that we put together in our broker vetting scorecard piece is risk elements. And we're not as concerned with you being compliant because you can still be compliant and face exposure and bleed exposure, risk exposure to your brokers and shippers, even if you're compliant. So we bleed in different parts of risk and different elements of risk into a profile that ultimately culminates in this that no other platform has. We consider federal litigation that they're involved in. We consider FMCSA spills. We consider OSHA violations and interdictions. So there's a whole lot of data here that's used. We've got 35 integrations, whether it's census data, whatever. It's in here, and a lot of it's being used for that. So here's how this company is tied to other companies, whether it's VIN, officer name, doesn't mean they're necessarily tied. It means that they share a name. And then authority clusters. So if they got authority on the same date and the same zip code, that's 3. You got shippers, you've got revocation risk, you've got all kinds of information like have they been revoked in the past, SMS and ISS scores. Treasury cards for network. One of the things I like about treasury cards is I'm a long form loyalist. I want information. I don't want to know why you think something. I want to know why you think something. And that requires data. So I want to see why you think White Hawk USA is affiliated with White Hawk. And this is going to give you a treasury card that says that. You've got the officer network, again, vehicle transfers. Have they sold vehicles? This we're getting ready to come back to. Their violations. If you need to know what the violation is, you can click on the CFR here and find out what it specifically is. Their fine risk based on the violations that they have. High risk exposure pieces where there's different elements that they're high risk on. Known shippers. B Sweet Citrus seems to be one of their favorites. That's them. This is an element here because every state has adopted federal regulations from FMCSA, but states often have different regulations in addition to FMCSA. No matter what state you're in, you can actually come here and find out what those different elements are. And then you can download it here if you want to. Insurance history is here. Have they ever had PPP and EIDL loans? That's in here. Secretary of State, you can run the corporate search here. What else do we got? We've got fuel prices if you're a carrier. We've got ELDT connections, all that good stuff. Important, but not important for right now. Now we'll come up here. We're going to do an officer search. This is going to take you to a network that's going to search officers. Now, a lot of people share this name, so the name is not important at all. So don't get caught up with the name, because if you get caught up with the name, you're going to get all of these. What is important here is that GM Transco doesn't just share a name, they share an address. And Accurate Petroleum Carriers doesn't just share an officer name, they share a phone. So what we've really done here is we've kind of taken name clusters, general, shared name. Shared name is a shared name. Could be Michael Jackson with 24 different carriers. But when you start to add other matches with it, whether it's phone, VIN, plate crossover, VIN crossover, addresses, phones, emails, that indicates that there's more than just your name that you're sharing with another carrier. And in this case, GM Transco and Accurate Petroleum, for some reason, warrants further investigation. They share a phone. One shares a phone, one shares an address, and the officer name. So that's where that is. You can also expand this network to look for all the people who have shared name, which is ridiculous. So not necessarily important for what we're doing. Let's get back to our VIN sharing. We're done running. We've got 150 items that it ran. 28 are shared across reference points with other carriers. So let's download the shared. We'll save bulk share. Let's see what we got. Who are they sharing with? All right, so it looks like a lot, but this is the same inspection, 1861. You've got Jumbo Logistics multiple times being inspected under these plates and this VIN. So this VIN is sharing these plates. So what you have here is these DOT numbers are somehow, for some reason, sharing equipment. So one of the things that we use this system for is what happens when a carrier shuts down? Where does their iron go? Who's got it? Who's using the plates? Who's using the VIN numbers? Where did the assets transfer to? And what we can actually see, very much like GenLogs does it with a visual, we do it with data. You can see that these plates have been inspected, crashed, or violated in these states this many times, sharing these plates and these VINs amongst these carriers. So Schneider is clearly not part of a Chameleon network. Schneider just leases to everybody. They're a true leasing company. You've got Jumbo Logistics, we should look at. You've got Black Horse Redline, which is somebody we should look at. SG Transport and De Niro Enterprises. So those are our big three. Notice that they're not in the names that were tied by phone, address, and officer name. So there's actually a pretty solid network here that you could look at. But again, this is just indicator data. So we give you indications on what's what and who's who that's based on federal data and other elements of data. And then you have to go investigate it to find out, are they actually really related? And the feds do use this system, so they have access to this information. They have their own portal here. They pay to use this system. This is how they investigate their networks. And one of the things that I cannot beat home enough is these are indicators, not true definers. So you have to take this data and actually investigate yourself to make sure that it is what you think it appears to be. So where did the equipment go? You now know. Are they in business? They are still operating in some fashion.